Here we go again, back again with another SFC Fan TV live stream, and it's on a Thursday night, so it's a Thursday bunch. There's three of us at this moment in time because Jacob's stuck somewhere in London, wandering around aimlessly, trying to find his internet and mobile phone. So tonight we have Wayne. Wayne, how are you doing? How's your day been?
Not too bad. Full day at work. Still recovering from watching that last night. Was a bit nerve-jangling, but not too bad. Canny day at work.
Do you have any beers last night?
No. Not on a school night.
Not on a school night? Oh, you were good lad, aren't you? Jack, how are you doing after last night, Jack? All right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just a bit disappointed with the result last night. I'm sure we'll analyse it and dissect it. But I'm doing all right. Had a day at work. Looking forward to talking about Sunderland for another hour. My favourite thing.
So what do you do on match night? Do you have a few beers when you're away on the during the week?
Yeah, I had a couple. Nothing daft though, because I had work in the morning. But I did have a couple just to get yourself a bit loose and enjoy it a bit more. Sometimes you need a couple to get through watching Sunderland for 90 minutes. Let's be honest.
So what time did you get home last night?
It was
this morning.
It was about what? Well, it was this morning. Yeah, it was about 1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock, 5 past, 10 past 1, just round about 1 o'clock, something along those lines.
All right, so you're not a bit rough, are you?
No, I'm fine.
Right, we'll go over to the live chat. Las Palmas Macam on there first. Hello, Robert Foster, Alan Robinson, DJ Earth, Thane, SAFC, Mick Griffiths on the chat there. And also we have the Bristolian Macam, Emma Hansen, who sometimes appears on here, and Ian Wilkinson. Let's talk about football. Well, after last night, the first defeat of the season, even though I thought it was a very good display from the lads last night, I thought it was a very hard-fought game. I thought they battled really well. And I thought until, unfortunately, Dan Neil was sent off with that yellow card, that really, I thought we were the better side. But we'll start off with Jack. You were there. What was the atmosphere like? I said yellow card because that would have given me yellow, not a red. Just my opinion, though. Jack, what was your thoughts on the game last night overall?
Yeah, really, really good. We started pretty well. I was very impressed with the way we started, competing with a very good Sheffield United team, a team that I think personally are going to be right up there at the end of the season in the mix for the playoff positions. And I felt we competed with them. You wouldn't have known it was a League One team that's just come up and had a few games. It would have looked like it looked like to me two established Championship teams playing a very good high standard of game. And I think we were coping well. And it was going to be very interesting to see how the game was going to pan out when obviously the big incident from the game was the Dan Neil red card. I think he's made a mistake, which is bad enough, but I think he compounded it by pulling the lad back. When I think really it's easy for us to say in hindsight, but I think he should have probably just let the lad go through and have a shot. You never know, the lad might have shot wide or shot over the bar. Patterson might have saved it. And even if you do go 1-0 down, there's plenty of time to come back in the game. 58, 60 minutes after that, you've got a large chunk of the game, 2/3 of it, to try and get back into it. But really, when you go 1-0 down and we home against a team as good as Sheffield United, it's always going to be. I felt after that we coped very well. We conceded again after half-time, but which was a real dampener because I thought if we can keep it tight and keep it 1-0 as long as we can, then we'll build into the game. But after we went 2-0 down, I thought we're absolutely fantastic. I thought we knocked the ball about really, really well. I thought we battled physically well without losing our discipline again. We got the goal, and I thought we deserved to get the goal on the balance of play. Really well taken, good movement, and obviously excellent finish from Lyndon Gooch to chip the keeper. Like I say, towards the end of the game, Sheffield United let's not forget, they were at home to 10 men, and they were time wasting. They were dropping down to try and see the game out, and that's a big compliment to us that we had 10 against 11, an 11-man Sheffield United team against our 10, panicking and worrying about seeing the game out. It's just hugely disappointing for all the effort. We didn't come away with a draw.
Right. And welcome to the chat, Jacob Kirkbride. How's your day been, mate? A bit stressful, a bit hectic?
Yeah, a bit manic, dealing with a tube strike down here. So a bit of a nightmare getting back from work, and also national rail strike as well all weekend. So all aboard the bus to Stoke this weekend for all sets of supporters going. I wish you all safe travels going there on Saturday. But yeah, I guess you want to speak to me about the game on Wednesday, Terry.
No, I wasn't going to, but if you want to, go on. You can get over the go on.
Thank you. No worries. Building on what Jack said there, yeah, encouraging signs. And even when we went down to 10 men, I thought we were still very much in the game. To be honest, good passing and movement from us lot, even down to 10 men. The substitutions that came on, I thought, put in a fantastic shift for what they were asked to do. Jake Matete, I thought, was terrific, in the build-up to the goal that we scored, winning the ball back and then putting it through to Stewart, who played a fantastic pass. First 45 minutes, before the sending off, I thought we were the better team. To be honest, it looked like there was only going to be one match winner on the night. The red card, listen, Dan Neil, he has made a mistake. It was a poor decision. It was in the heat of the moment, I'd say. I mean, watching it back, you could argue, you know, he wasn't technically the last man. Luke O'Nien was technically the last man, but Luke O'Nien, even if the lad had still won the ball and beat Dan Neil, if he was through and goal, Luke O'Nien still had a lot of yards to cover to make the tackle. But listen, if he was through on goal, I still have faith. We've got an outstanding goalkeeper right now who I have every faith he would potentially have even stopped it. You know, right now he's the man of the moment, Anthony Patterson. You know, terrific performance last night. And if he keeps, I know he signed a new contract last year, if he keeps putting in performances like that, he's got the caliber to play even at a higher level than what we are now. You know, terrific shot stopper, extremely talented. He's still a young boy as well, bright future ahead of him. But overall, you know, last night it was one of those nights, but still happy with the performance, Terry.
Exactly, Jacob. Exactly, Jacob. On the live chat, we have Anthony Lee, proud of the performance last night with the 10 men. Also, Ian Wilkinson said, don't forget it was Neil's poor control that let Sheffield United in. I said pre-match, week in the middle, Embleton and Neil. We'll just quickly go back to Jack. Jack, what were the fans like last night? Were they buoyant? Were they subdued?
Fans were excellent. Only us chanting and singing for the first half. Completely outsung the opposition. Went a bit quiet after the red, and when they got the goal, it was a kind of a double whammy to the atmosphere, because not only are you disappointed you're down to 10 men, I think we conceded about a minute or 2 minutes. I don't know how long afterwards the red card, but it wasn't very long. So they were a bit buoyant. But second half, when we got the goal back, it was all Sunderland. It was just a case of, can we chant and get the lads going and try and get something from the game? Sheffield United fans absolutely quiet. And I thought there was a nervous energy from their home support. I don't know whether they were worried in the same way that we were buoyant and willing on our lads. I think there was a bit of panic from them. So completely outsung the opposition. There was just a 15-minute quiet period after the red, but the fans are fantastic.
What was the crowd like? Was it 20 odd thousand there last night or less?
I think it was. I can't remember the exact number. Someone in the chat will probably be able to check it. It was definitely under 30, 26. I might have been.
I think that's about right. I think about
26, 27, 28, something along those lines. But yeah, in the 20s. And
roughly how many Sunderland fans were there?
I'm not sure myself. We had pretty much the whole of the away end. I think was it about 3,000.
Right.
I don't know.
Bottom tier.
Yeah. Bottom tier, yeah.
Yeah, the fans have always been brilliant away. Like probably the best away fans in the league for me, like easily. But yes, well done. Anyway, Wayne, did you watch the game last night?
I did, certainly did.
Did you?
Jacob and Jack's kind of summed it up perfectly there. You know, before the game, when we seeing the team and we saw Evans wasn't playing, I thought was worried. But to be fair, just before Dan Neil got sent off, he put some great tackles in that was actually pulled up by the referee. And I thought the tackles he made was terrible. You know, we're probably touching the referee, but I thought the referee had a poor game anyway. But but it was just a little bit of a miscontrol on his part, and unfortunately, where it was just a little bit of experience. And I think if Evans is in there, it's a one-touch back to Patterson, but it is what it is. It's unfortunate. Like Alex Neil said after the game, he'll learn from that. He'll come on from the. But I thought, I don't know, that was always going to be our toughest test this season. But you would never have thought that we were the League One team. And like Jay was saying, the second half, I thought we were going to sneak something. You wouldn't even know we were down to 10 men for most parts of the second half. It was just the way we conceded the goals straight after the sending off, and then just after half-time kind of killed us a little bit. But I thought Matete did really well when he came on last night. He took some knocks over the past few weeks, but I think he did really well when he came on. He got the interception for the goal, that set Stewart through. So I think, I think we'll be fine if we can add another 3 or 4 quality signs. I think we'll have a good season.
Well, Ian Wilkinson says on the chat, definitely sending off Patterson is better than Pickford at his age. Do you all agree with that?
It's a bold statement, but a very bold step. I mean, but there's no reason why he can't reach that level. I know it's still early days, but since he's come in, he's just been a complete breath of fresh air. And the talent that the kid's got, honestly, it's scary for the age he's at. I mean, I know he hasn't really potentially gone through a bit of a bad patch yet. But even if he does, I still have faith he'll come back from that. And considering before last night, I think we conceded, about 6 goals, 6, 7. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd think a young goalkeeper might be shook a bit of confidence from that. But last night, some of the saves he was pulling off, mate, outstanding.
But none of the goals we've conceded have never been sort of Patterson's mistakes. He never made any bad mistakes that I can think of. I mean, Jack, your thoughts on Patterson? Were you always a believer last year that he can make it a sort of step up to the Championship?
I think he's got a lot of potential. We're forgetting, I think goalkeepers, they tend to get better, maybe even past 30, some of them, do you know what I mean? So he's still very, very early in his career for a goalkeeper. Definitely got great potential. I think he's got some fantastic attributes. His athleticism and his shot stopping are absolutely brilliant. I think there's things he can work on though, which, every footballer in our team has things that they can look at to work on. And I think he's not someone I would class as physically dominant. Sometimes is not as commanding as he can be, but a lot of goalkeepers aren't these days. You know what I mean? You think of old goalkeepers of old times, big, tall, massive goalkeepers that can, come and punch and kick, maybe aren't as good with the feet. I think the goalkeeper role has changed slightly now. You're asking goalkeepers to play more as like a defender almost, with certainly on the ball. Do you know what I mean? They have to be very good on the feet. They have to be athletic. So I think there's certainly things he can maybe improve on, just his commanding nature. Once or twice when he comes for corners and free kicks, I don't have as much confidence as I have had with, maybe one or two other older experienced keepers. But he is still very, very young. And I think, he had a very good game last night, Terry. Some of the saves he pulled off, 2 or 3 really top draw saves to keep us, in with a shout of the game. I mean, Sheffield United would say, well, on another day, they win 4-5-1, and we'd be looking at it looking like it might have been a battering. So we have to give him praise. And someone in the crowd was giving a bit of a stick last night, and it's tough because the goalkeeper, you make a mistake and it does cost you a goal a lot of the time. But I felt that he had a really good game last night in particular.
Well, Thean says, unpopular opinion, I think Pato is better than Pickford. I liked him at Sunderland, but since he left us, I think Pickford is massively overrated because he has a few mistakes in him. So, Wayne, do you think Patterson is better than Pickford at this moment in time right now? Do you think Patterson can actually cement and become a really solid Championship goalkeeper throughout the whole of the season?
I don't see any reason why not. He started off the season really well. I think the back end of last season when he came in the team, he looked a bit small, but I think he's kind of bulked up a little bit during the summer. And this season he looks much bigger. He seems to play with a calmness now, like nothing seems to faze him. He doesn't look nervous at all. And like I say, when he was called upon last night, some of the saves he kept us in the game back into the match. But I'm not sure if he's at the same level where Pickford was, but I'm saying Pickford's getting some stick. He is playing in a bad Everton team at the minute, But at the same age, I think in time, I think he could be better than Pickford. But I'd like to see us bring an experienced goalkeeper in just to help bring him on even more. I'm not sure Alex Bass would do that, but I certainly don't see any reason why not, that he can't keep on improving and be number one for the rest of this season at least, yeah.
See, well, Patterson, I'm over the moon. He's being given his opportunity in the Championship. I was over the moon. I was screaming out for him to be started at the back end of the sort of the middle to beginning of last season in League One. The thing I want to see from Patterson for me is to be more sort of vocal. I think I want to see a more commanding Patterson. His shot stopping's doing well. His crosses are getting better, and I think his all-round performance is getting better and better. But I want to see him really screaming at players in the penalty box. I know it's a different kind of animal to do that sort of thing, but I want to see him command the area more. For me, that's just what I want. So, I mean, what's your opinions on that? Do you think, Jack? Do you think he should be more vocal, or are you happy with the way he's going about things?
Yeah, I think there's definitely aspects of his game he can improve on. Maybe be a bit more aggressive and vocal with his defenders. And I think maybe a bit more physically commanding. I know it's hard because, he can't change his height as Wayne's touched on. He's not someone who's 6'5", but I think he can certainly be more physical in the way that he sometimes comes for corners and free kicks and, clear, even if he comes out and clears the defender's head off, do you know what I mean? And really be a bit more threatening and aggressive with his goalkeeping. I think, but yeah, you see, like I've touched on, he's still very early in his career. Those are all aspects to work on. I don't think he's quite up to Jordan Pickford standard yet, to be fair. I think we've got a pretty good England number one. But if he goes on to be as good as Jordan Pickford, we'll have a pretty good goalkeeper again, won't we? But hopefully we can keep on him and don't sell him this time.
Well, I want to hear Wayne's opinion on this one because he's already touched on it. Guy Nicholson says, Dan made some poor tackles before the red card. Obviously, he's had instructions to get stuck in like Evans. He needs more work in that sort of area, but hopefully he'll learn and get better. Do you think those tackles he made before the red card were poor, or do you think they were well timed?
Perfectly timed.
I thought they were perfectly timed. I think I didn't think there's anything wrong with him. You know, you could see the way he reacted. He got the ball on 2 or 3 occasions. The referee was just, you know, too whistle happy. From me, I thought he was actually having a great game until that moment of madness. You know, doesn't necessarily used to playing back there. But, you know, again, for his age, he showed a calmness. He's not afraid to get on the ball. You know, he's not afraid to take people on and look for the pass. And no, I think for me, there was nothing wrong with them tackles at all.
Jacob?
Absolutely not. I mean, the referee, the game's gone, mate. Honestly, if you're going to have referees like that, when you see the tackles back, they were perfectly timed. And there was a comment on Twitter made saying about how Dan Neil, you know, he's still learning. He was a bit rattled by what happened. I'm sorry, but any footballer, whether you're experienced or a young talented player, you would be a bit, sorry, excuse my French, a bit peed off and a bit rattled up if you win 2 perfectly timed tackles. Your head's not going to be right and you get pulled up for it. And then that was, I think, a few minutes before the sending off. So it's one of those things that I know you shouldn't excuse. You have to keep your cool on a football pitch. But then again, I think Dan Neil last night, for the role he had to do, you have to remember, you know, with Evans being out, he had to sit in a bit deeper at times and win those second challenges. And I thought he'd done that very well. So it would have been a big difference with Evans in that role and Neil further forward. But, you know, we can't obviously slate Dan Neil for the effort he put in before the red card. It's obviously just a silly mistake. He'll come back from the suspension. He'll be played further up the pitch and he'll learn from it.
See, I thought I saw a different Dan Neil last night for the first 30 minutes. I was really impressed with his performance in the first 30 minutes. I thought those challenges were really harsh from the referee. And I thought the referees had a problem with Dan Neil from the start. I don't know what it was. I've got no clue. But the referee, for me, I mean, it obviously made it easy for the referee when he pulled him down to go for that sort of penalty, for that sort of last man decision. But I thought the 2 challenges beforehand, for me, they were perfectly fine. I think the Premier League last weekend have instructed referees to let the game flow more and let more meaty challenges go. If that's that, I think it might be correct, I'm not sure. But that's what the incentive is from the referees in the Premier League. I thought last night he was just blowing the whistle for every single time he put the foot in. Yeah. He blew the whistle straight away. I mean, Jack, what was your opinion on Dan Neil's first 30 minutes performance last night?
I thought he did quite well. I thought he was keeping the ball pretty well. His energy was good. I thought he was getting stuck in, which is a different side to him that we haven't seen. And I thought that, you know, like Jacob touched on, it is going to wind you up a little bit when the referee, you feel you're not getting the decisions from the referee. I didn't think we got the decisions from the referee all night, to be fair. He's a proper home referee. I thought he gave pretty much every 50-50 to Sheffield United. Every 50-50 went their way, and I think they were quite clever as well. I think we were sometimes a bit naive with games. We try and be a bit too honest. I think other teams that come up against us are more inclined to drop down, you know, win daft, you know, little fouls, you know, daft little dropping down, you know, and getting yellow cards off, you know, getting other players booked and things like that. And I think certain referees need to be stronger and stamp it out. And like you say, to a certain extent, how you let the game flow, let 2 good championship teams have a real good go at each other. And I don't think the referee was ever going to let that happen. It seemed like he was a bit weak. He hid behind the yellow card and behind telling players off and stopping the game too much. So, I thought Dan Neil was impressive. It would have been really interesting to see how he would have played the full 90, how Sunderland would have played if we'd had 11 men. I mean, we'll never know. I think personally would have got something from the game, but, you know, it's hindsight, isn't it?
So, yeah, I see last night's decision, the red card. I mean, I'm thinking about, you know, I've got things playing on my mind. I've got the likes of Gooch being throttled and not being sent to play, not being sent off, getting away with that. I've got likes of Ross Stewart constantly have players on his back, dragging him down, ripping his shirt off his back in the penalty area, dragging him to the floor, nothing happening. And then you got like another game altogether, like I said before, you got a Chelsea player in the penalty box being dragged back by his hair onto the ground, and VAR says that's perfectly fine. But then last night, Dan Neil, yes, you know, he did kind of caress his shirt, you know, rub his thigh a little bit, but it wasn't like really dragging him back. It was just a little pull. And for me, the player went down like a bag of shite. and he played for that red card. And that's where the game's gone for me. It's absolutely gone. And that referee last night for me just gave everything to Sheffield. And I mean, I always say it the way it is. Excuse me. If a player does a bad challenge from a Sunderland, I will say it's a bad challenge from a Sunderland player. But for me, I thought, it was just, I just got really annoyed with the decision, because as soon as Dan Neil touched that player, the red card was out, and he was waving it around to say, get off the pitch, go on, go, with some sort of anger and venom. And I just thought, what does it come to? When referees, for me, just ruining the game of football.
And
Jacob?
Terry, you touched on, sorry to interrupt.
You go, Jack. You go.
I was just going to say, you touched on the groups being throttled by the QPR player. You watched Liverpool lad on Monday night, Darwin Núñez. He puts his head in. The Crystal Palace player goes down and drops down to get him injured. Now, unfortunately, you're right what you say, Terry. The game has gone. But if you play honestly a lot of the game now, when you don't alert the referee and you don't make it obvious, like Gooch in that scenario, I'm not blaming Gooch because it's not his fault the lad's got his arm around his neck, but he should drop down, make a meal of it, because other teams are doing it to us. Other teams, and that's what I mean when we're a bit naive. Sheffield United have been in this league for 2 or 3 years now. We're coming up, and I still think we're a bit naive, and that's probably because we've got quite a few young lads in the squad. You know what I mean? Whereas somebody a bit old, a bit more experienced, maybe does do whatever they can to get the lad sent off.
Right, Jacob, you were saying?
Yeah, I was going back to the red card, Terry. I was going to ask you actually, if the lad had won the ball off Lyndon Gooch, correct me if I'm wrong, was it Ryan Brewster, their winger? I think it was Brewster, correct me if I'm wrong, but he still, I mean, my own personal opinion, he still had a lot to do if he'd won the ball from that angle. So you had to cut inside a little bit, and I know it was technically a 1-on-1, but he would have had to adjust his feet in order to try and get it across Patterson. But I can understand why it was given, but what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting there with red and white glasses on. I can understand why he was sent off. I really can. I just think it was a soft foul. I think it was just a soft, the manner. The referee didn't even take a couple of seconds to think about it. He just straight away, straight off that. As he was just over the moon. He wanted Dan Neil off that pitch straight away. And there was no sort of sincerity about it. I feel what I was going to say there. Sincerity. I can't even say the word. But it was just he just wanted him off the pitch straight away. And it was just the player ran across Dan Neil, and Dan Neil had nowhere to go as well. Whereas another instance before that, Danny Bart, a player ran in front of Danny Bart. Danny Bart went straight into him and nothing happened. So there's no consistency whatsoever. But I don't know. I just feel for me, a yellow card would have been suffice, but that's just my red and white tinted glasses, I'm sorry to say. Wayne?
Just to touch on what you said, he didn't even think about it, did he? Like you say, as soon as the tackle was made, the red card was out. He didn't even think about for a couple of seconds what he wanted to do. But before the game, I think there was a stat that I think he's dished out the most cards in the Championship last season. I think so. He was just gone by his standard performance. But you're right about Stewart. Stewart got absolutely nothing last night. Every time there's two defenders on him, the clan over him, and he gets nothing. And it's slightest things outside the box. We're getting free kicks against us. It's frustrating.
It's just the rules. There's got to be some sort of level playing field, because at the moment the rules are all over the place and the referees just doing what they want.
Well, we were under the impression that in this league the standard refereeing would get better, but to me it's not much better than League One at all.
I would even go to say it's slightly worse. To be honest, I think it's just slightly worse. I want to go back to the chat anyway. John T says he fully agrees with Wayne. Mick Griffiths, Patterson was one of the man of the match last night. David Walker, the only thing we got off that ref was him. Was an eye because the sending off of Loco 9. That's the only thing the referee did was not send off Loco 9. At the time, I didn't think it was a sending off, but I look back, it was definitely a card.
It was a nasty tackle, that.
But was that the referee not thinking I've made it right? I've been a bit of a sort of a harsh mistake with it? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the referee was just a complete twat. No, I don't think so. Anyway, who else? Guy Nicholson, agree with Mick. Could have had 4-5 towards at the end, because he did really well. Patterson, Anthony Lee says brilliant save from the humble McBurney last night. Handling was superb. Jake Redford, Paddo, England #1 in the future. Hansen, Patterson kept us in it last night, which he did, definitely did. And also, Aaron, considering how our under fire we were, the 10 remaining lads did really well. Did really well from like a shite referee. There we go, from a shite referee. So I want to move on to Sims last night. I thought Sims didn't have a very good game. I thought it was one of his quiet matches. I thought his passing was a little bit off. Do you think that was a one-off? Or do you think that, I don't know, what's your thoughts on Sims, Jack, last night?
Yeah, it was a bit quiet. I think that's why he got taken off. Out of the two we had up front, Ross Stewart definitely had the better game. Stewart was more involved. He's put himself about a little bit more. He won quite a few headers. He's willing to run down the channels a little bit. Ellis Sims, sorry, I think he's good when the going's doing well. You know, when you're doing well in the game and things is going well. I don't know if he's going to be somebody to really graft and run in the same way that Ross Stewart does. So might have to see on that one and work out, you know, who's going to be right. Maybe go on up front now and again and select, you know, which striker is going to be best for which game. But yeah, he did have a few nice flicks, but just in terms of his overall involvement, he didn't really seem to get involved in the same way that Ross Stewart did. And I don't think there was any surprise when he got taken off. But he set so high standards, hasn't he, Terry, to a certain extent? I mean, he got 2 on his debut. He got 1 last week. So he's got 3 goals in his first 2 games. Now, obviously, that's not going to continue. You know what I mean? He's not going to score every game, but he wasn't really involved, which is a bit disappointing. But that's the problem. When you're down to 10 men, you have to look to make your team as solid as you can, and that's why he had to come off. And I don't think anyone can have any complaints.
No. I think you also have to sort of give credit where credit's due to Sheffield's defence. I think they marked Sims quite well, to be fair. Jacob, thoughts on Sims?
Yeah, it wasn't one of his best of games last night, but listen, we brought him in it was just one of those situations last night, not to obviously help the defence out, but to be a poacher in the box. And, you know, with the effectiveness in Stewart's hold-up play, it worked well the last 2 games. But when you go down to 10 men, you've sort of got to adjust the system, adjust how each individual member of the team plays. And I can understand why he was taken off, like Jack said, but it was one of those nights for Sims. I think the key is with Sims, Ross Stewart, I think, has to have a good game for him to be effective on the pitch. I think he feeds off his hold-up play very well. He's a poacher in the box. And I think he struggled at times to get in the right areas. I think, like you said, Sheffield United's defence, their back line was very strong last night. They've got experience of people in this division, the likes of, Baldock. I think he was playing as a right-sided centre-back or as a right wing-back, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have got players, who've got experience over the years of, handling decent forwards in this league. And, yeah, they coped with Stewart and Sims really well last night, even though, like you said, it was a disgrace the amount of times that Stewart, was manhandled to the floor. And that's happened the games before, even the other night as well. So, but I have faith it will even itself out. Stewart will eventually get a decision. He'll potentially even get a penalty, getting dragged down in the box potentially. Was it John Egan? That was it, the centre-half. He handled Stewart, I thought, really well last night.
He did. Welcome to the chat, Shelley Cumbridge, Ian Curry and Joseph Billingsley. Welcome to the chat. I reckon Sims would have scored last night if Dan Neil wasn't sent off. Well, was that one touch he tried to put Stewart through when Stewart would have been clean through, but was a bit too heavy on the touch that time, I think it was, just before Dan Neil got sent off. So, Wayne, what was your thoughts on Sims last night?
Yeah, just to echo this, the same as what's already been said. I think I was just going to touch on that chance he had to put through to Stewart. It was a looked quite a simple pass from where we're on the telly, but he's not going to be brilliant every game, and he's still learning the way we play. Really, he's only had 2-3 games now, so he's still learning the way we play in the system. But he got taken off just because I think Stewart outworked him when we went down with 10 men. And if there was one person going to get taken off, he would have been it. But he's big enough. He's physical for this league, so I think he'd be fine. Once he gets a better understanding with Roscoe, I think it'll be a great partnership. But I think, like Jack was saying, some games we'll play one in front, and it might be Ross, and it might just be Ellis, depending on who we're playing. But I think Jake was right as well. Their back three played quite well last night, especially the lad who scored the goal. I'm not going to even try and pronounce his name, but he was decent. He looked really good going forward as well. So their back three managed our front two quite well last night.
Armis Shodik, whatever he's called,
something like that.
Yeah, I think they got him from a Bundesliga side, I think.
He looked about 7 foot. His name would look massive. I was right behind the goal, and he looked like an absolute giant.
But he's fast as well. He looked decent. He's got pace as well. So.
Malmo, that was it, Swedish side, on loan at Bordeaux last year.
I think that they tried to sign him in January, didn't they?
Alan's on the chat. He reckons Stewart will score 20. He reckons that, I think he says, Sims will score 23 goals and Stewart 16 this season. That would be a great goal tally, wouldn't it? And also Gary Talbot. All right, lads, I would like to see extra bodies in. Gary Talbot, all right, lads. Who would like to see some extra bodies in? Obviously, we all like to see extra bodies in. We'll touch on that later on. But while we're doing this now, we want to try and hit 100 likes on a Thursday night. So if you are new to the channel, or if you're on the channel, of course, give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. 91 people on here and we have about 27 likes. So try and hit the like button if you can. We much appreciate it while you're around doing nothing and watching me. And obviously the three gadgets as well. But anyway, man of the match last night. Jack, who was your man of the match last night?
I thought you'd probably have to give it to Patterson, to be fair, because I think he pulled off 2 or 3 really good saves, kept us in the game, would have been a heavier result. I'd just like to touch on a couple of other players I thought did well. Lyndon Gooch, not just because he scored, but I thought he was up and down. He won a lot of 50-50s, took his goal brilliantly, obviously. And I thought Jay Matete came on and did pretty well. I think Jacob touched on it, or it might have been Wayne, I can't remember. But I think Jay Matete come on and he really battled. He won a lot of tackles, he grafted. And he's been a bit of a forgotten man for Sunderland, hasn't he, this season? Hasn't really featured much. And I got the feeling Alex Neil didn't really fancy him. But maybe the competition for places and the fact we've gone up the Championship spurred him on a little bit, and he really came on and influenced the game. I thought there were a couple that did quite well, but if I had to pick one, I would say Anthony Patterson pulled off 2, 3, 4 really good saves and kept us alive in the game right until the final minute.
I don't think Jay Matete would have even been on the bench if likes of Evans was fit and Winchester was fit. So I think he's got to try and take the bull by the horns and get sort of have that opportunity, really go for it. Right, Wayne, man of the match yesterday.
For me, I thought it was Lyndon Gooch. I think the last few weeks he's been playing out his skin. I mean, there was a few, me included, was worried when we seen him at the start of the season in that right wing back role. But to be fair, he's done really well. He gets up and down. Could be even play him on the right some games rather than the wing back. But when he went in the midfield last night, I mean, he got the goal. And he seems to be, his energy is great as well. But for me, Lyndon Gooch was outstanding. But I thought Danny Batt had a cracking game as well. When you consider he had Certain and Ornat playing alongside him, I just thought, he marshalled our back three quite well.
So I want to say to you, right? I got somebody who worked today said to me it was Danny Batt's fault for the goal, the first goal. Who was to blame for the first goal? I know we were a man short.
09, I think.
I think he was lost his man. I mean, to be fair, I think everything was still up in the air from getting Dan Neil sent off. Were we organised correctly in time for the call? Who would Dan Neil have been picking up? I think O'Neill lost his man from what I've seen.
All right, Jack, what are your thoughts on that first goal?
Yeah,
it was an easy header. It was an easy header, wasn't it?
Peeled off 09.
It seems like one of their lads got a run on somebody, whether or not they did the old blocking off where one goes in front of him and blocks off a runner. I don't know, but their lad had a free header practically not on the goal line, but not very far out, and you've got no chance when it's that far out. But he definitely lost a runner. I don't know whether it was Luke O'Neill or somebody, but one of our lads definitely didn't pick him up, and he had an easy header into net. But I think what Wayne says, I think we just hadn't settled after the red. I think there was a hullabaloo, 30, 60 seconds, and they got the goal. And it was a double whammy because we were disappointed that we'd started so well and lost a man, but then you're 1-0 down and you think, Christ, where's that come from? So, knocked the stuffing out of us until half-time, really, the fans as well.
Well, the general consensus on the chat is like Lyndon Gooch and Anthony Patterson. So what's yours, Jacob?
Tough, really tough. But you know what? Even though Patterson pulled off some outstanding saves, it's so hard. But you know what? Our Gooch was terrific, I thought, the other night. the way how he took his goal. But even before that, I would say, in terms of what the shift he put in 45 minutes, I've never seen Lyndon Gooch put so many decent crosses in the first half ever. Like each and every single one literally landed perfectly right on the penalty spot.
Do you think his crossing's improved this year? I think he's massively
100%,
improved the last season.
100%.
He's definitely 100% better than what he was last year crossing
Well,
wise.
Look, the first game of the season typified that, the Coventry one. We put that ball in for Clark. It's just, he's adapted to that role so well. I think at times he can lose his concentration a bit, but listen, I think you have to remember, he's even the majority of his days in League One, he was playing as a winger, and now he's sort of playing as a wing back. So he's got more responsibility. I still stand by. He could have done a little bit more to stop the cross for QPR's second goal last Saturday. But in terms of his overall attacking play, he's got great capability, to be a really strong servant and a good addition to the quality that we have to face in this division. At the end of the day. And don't forget also when he broke into the side in the early days, I think when Moyes was in charge, he started off as a central midfield player as well. And then he's played on the wing, right back. I'm pretty sure we've even played him at centre half at one stage when the chips are down. But no, he's done really well, Gucci. Fair play.
See, I thought last night when we started, I was surprised to see Gooch as captain. To be fair, I thought it'd be Danny Bart who would be captain. Why do you think, Jack, that Danny Bart wasn't captain last night and Lyndon Gooch was?
I don't know. I think Gooch does seem to rally the lads about it. He's often chatting and come on, and I don't know whether it's because he's just been at the club so long, and maybe Alex Neil thought that he might be able to get the players going on the pitch and maybe get the crowd up a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I always think a big tall centre half's a good spot for a good position to be as a captain, because you get a good run of the game. You know what I mean? You can see it from a defensive position, and he's experienced as well. But that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe he thought the Gooch is a bit more vocal than Danny Bath, and it could kind of get behind the lads on the pitch and also get the crowd going a little bit, maybe, because he's been at the club so long, hasn't he, Gooch? And he knows. I think he's been there, 8 years now, maybe. So, it's a pretty long time.
The Bristolian Mackham says, I said it before, the Championship is better for Gooch, more freedom to move. Peter Harvey says that Gooch, that man of the match for him was Patterson, and that we've got to take one game at a time. If we buy the Costa Rican play, he looks a very good player, very good buy. The referee was a joke last night. VAR to be in the Championship. Then also we got an Keno. Neil definitely getting the best out of him. I don't know who he means. That means Gooch. I would have thought it means Gooch. So Jacob, would you have put Gooch as captain or Danny Bard last night?
It's difficult. I mean, it took me by surprise, but thinking more about it when I saw it on the telly, it sort of makes sense, because the second choice I would have had below Gooch would have been 09. But if you think about it, 09, his commitment is second to none, but at the same time, I still stand by he's overcommitted. I think there could be periods where you'll get sucked into the opposition's game plan. He'll commit himself too much into challenges, and I do see himself. I do see him potentially in big games this season. Picking up the second yellow or a straight red. But obviously he was lucky to escape one the other night. But Lyndon Gooch, it's the experience that counts. Listen, he's been here at this club for 7-8 years now. So, and even though at times he can lose, like I said before, he can lose his concentration. But if you notice, when Gucci's on the pitch, he does like to rattle up the other lads. He can get the best out of them by his motivational words and his leadership on the pitch as well. We tend to do better when Gucci is playing. So fair play. He embraced the captaincy role very well, I thought, the other night.
So I want to go back to the QPR match where Gooch got strangled. Did any of the players come to his defence that day? Because I never saw it. Was anybody there? Did anybody see it?
I never see anybody come to his defence at all.
Which is a shame, because I want to see players doing that. Other teams do that.
It only happened, I think, for a split few seconds. I think a few backs were turned and then it was over. But like what Jack said earlier on, I think if Gooch had potentially, I don't advocate this at all, but made a bit of a deal out of it, you never know. The opposition, they could have gone down to 10.
I think we should have made more of it, to be fair, because we're looking back now. You know what I mean? He goes off. If that's the other way around, do you know what I mean? the opposition would have dropped down. We would have had a red card and we'd all be fuming about it. And it is wrong. I don't advocate it either, Jacob, but I think sometimes it's the climate now. And if you go against the grain, it harms you, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if we're honest,
Palace played the other night.
If we're honest and every other team's cynical, who's it harming? It's going to be us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the way it is.
The worst thing about it, I think it was Elias Chair, who was the lad who had his hand on Gooch's throat. He was the lad who took the free kick as well and put it in the top corner.
And crossed the ball for the goalkeeper to score as well.
We've got a goal and an assist, and he should have been back in the
Anyway, welcome to the chat, Stephen Hensel and Joe the Artist. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. 92 people on the live stream. Let's get 100 likes, which is very difficult. There's only 92 on the live stream. We'll get close to 100 as possible. Anyway, Wayne, who would your captain be? If we haven't got Corey Evans, who would the captain be? Who would you like to see to be captain? Are you happy with Gooch?
I'm happy with Gooch, but I would like to say Danny Batt. But does Danny Batt talk as much on the pitch? I can't say I've ever seen him being very vocal at centre half. But when you listen to Alex Neil speaking, I think he likes Gooch. He likes Gooch a hell of a lot. You know, he's always praising him and what he brings to the dressing room and how he's like on the training ground. So I think Gooch is a bit of a favourite of Alex Neil's, if I'm honest. But for me, I would like to see Danny Batt, but I just don't think he's as vocal as he could be. So I'm happy with Gooch if Evans is not playing.
Well, I thought last night, I thought my man of the match was Anthony Patterson. Excuse me. But I thought Gooch as well had a really good game, and he surprised me this season. Gooch has really surprised me this season. So I think, he done a good job last night being captain, so now I wouldn't change it. I would just leave it sort of the way it is. Now, we're going to move on to the ticket office quickly before we move on to tomorrow Saturday's game. We'll go to the ticket office and club shop. Jacob, what's your thoughts on that changing?
I mean,
one's enough.
Obviously, actions needed to be taken, but you're right, Terry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Where were we? Ticket office, yes.
Ticket office.
Yeah.
Is it not before time or is it too late, Jacob?
Well, I mean, obviously, the frustration amongst the supporters is an all-time high with the situation, what's been going on. But at the same time, I thought the statement put out by the club, the fact that they're changing the times, I think was just a little bit lame, to be honest. The statement they put out the other night. I mean, I was there on Saturday, the queues around the ticket office just to buy tickets for a home game, and I heard a story, there was an old bloke who was in that line who didn't know what to do because he wasn't great with all the technology. Oh, was Terry leaves the room there, sorry. He didn't like that, no. Pretty bored. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
I'll be respectful. I'll wait till Terry gets back.
I'm mute until he comes back up.
But I'll speak to you, Wayne. It's been a shambles, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you. So I've got a friend, right? He ordered the Sheffield United ticket for Wednesday night, and it's only been received in the post today. That just sums it up completely.
Just says it all the way it's been a farce from before the season started with the season tickets. That they've resold people's season tickets, haven't auto-renewed them. People have been spread out to different parts of the ground. It's an absolute joke. Joke.
The worst one I've got, right, this is when I spoke to Tom White from Sky Sports away at Bristol City. Cheers, Tom, by the way, top lad, great fan of the channel. So he was telling me there was a lad at the Coventry City game, first game of the season. He had the same season ticket seat since the stadium first opened in 1997. About, I would say, 15, 20 minutes before kickoff, a lad who had a ticket said, "Oh no, sorry, I'm sitting here. You're going to have to move." Now, I'm sorry, what? If you've got the same seat for how many, like, how long's the stadium been? 25 years. And you asked to move. Bye-bye. See you later.
And I bet the stewards did nothing about it, and I bet he had to move
No.
in the concourse.
Exactly.
But the person who was season ticket who had all them years, I bet he never got any satisfaction from anybody.
It's been an absolute joke. I mean, I know, like, Jackie, you go to the away matches. Have you found the ticket office situation over the last few weeks?
Absolutely horrendous, Terry. I'm not the only one on social media that said it, but I just think we've operated at basically back to COVID levels. Now, the club and society now is pretty much operating on as normal. Everything's back to normal, but basically, isn't it? So to have like basically nobody answering calls in the ticket office barely open at all. You know what I mean? You can't. It shouldn't be shut permanently anyway. But if it is, at least have people to take calls. It's been shut, and when you've been calling them to try and get either some ticket news or to ask any questions or anything, the answer phone doesn't go through, and then it just cuts you off, so you can't get to speak to anybody. I mean, I got my Sheffield United ticket just one day before. Jacob says this lad's got it today. It doesn't surprise us whatsoever because I only got mine on Tuesday. I ordered mine in the first phase weeks and weeks before, and there were people that had ordered it after me were getting their tickets within a couple of days. And mine only got posted out the day before. The Stoke ticket came on Wednesday. So I think it's a lack of options, but I think it's a lack of pride in your club to a certain extent as well. Do you know what I mean? We have aspirations to be a Premier League club with the size of a Premier League club. Let's operate it like a Premier League club. Let's have a bit of professionalism in the way that we do things and standards at the football club. And this opening the ticket office for better times, it's a start and it's better than it has been, but there's still. I mean, I've even touched on looking at the stadium. The stadium needs maintenance, things like that. You know, it needs money spent on it and time. And you're more than the league that you're in. We have aspirations to be in. Yes, we're in the Championship now, but we want to be Premier League. And unless you get all that things sorted off the pitch, then it reflects badly upon you. With your fans, that can only lead to disharmony with the supporters.
See, what disappoints me, right, is that. Sorry, Wayne, is obviously Donald and Midfield have dragged it down to this level because of COVID and because of cutting corners and everything. Now, KLD's come in and he's let it run at the same level. He hasn't addressed the problem straight away. It's taken for all these shenanigans to go on, all the problems that's happening with the season cards, with people standing in the queues for 3 hours, somebody collapsing in the queue because of the heat, and just the lack of respect for the fans, it took for all these people to complain for someone to actually wake up and think, oh yeah, maybe we should do a little bit more for the fans. It's like something after the Lord Mayor show. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. How is it getting to this the way it is now? Does this mean that KLD is completely oblivious about what's going on in the club, or does he not care at all? Wayne, what's your thoughts?
Well, do you not think that statement came out? Yes, was it yesterday or the day before about the ticket office being open for the full week? Interestingly enough, it was like the day before they had the meeting with the supporters groups. Is that why they decided to stop them getting grief last night at the supporters groups? But it's not just that. It's the club shop. It's this 10% what they promised in the shop and on the concourse for the food and drinks. That's still not working yet. When you ask the staff, they just shrug their shoulders. There's nobody being briefed. Nobody seems to know anything. It's just a shambles. You wonder who's actually running that internal bit of the club, where they're having these briefings about what's actually happening.
Yeah, I thought Jack would have been there. But like they say, no, thank you for patience in this and the other. Can I get an email? I emailed 4 times in 10 days, not one single reply. You kind of get the phones to. Nobody wants to get the phones to work. As soon as the club shop closes at 5 o'clock, the doors are closed. 50 people in the queue have got to go home. They've been standing there for an hour. Just for me, there should be a late time. One late night, because the likes of. Like Emma says on the chat, she works till 4:30. You get there at 4:30, there's a queue, you kind of get in. So how are we supposed to get tickets? Apparently they're going to address all the season cards to make sure they're all working for the Norwich match. It's goddamn the 3rd home game. They should have been working from the very first game. They need to stop Ticketmaster. That's an absolute shambles and a disgrace in the first place. We're the only club to use Ticketmaster in the North East. You got teams like Spennymoor's office, Hartlepool are running much better than this. We're supposed to be the top 44 teams in England. We run like an amateur club, an absolute amateur club. It's pathetic, Jacob.
And bear in mind, so on Saturday against QPR, I bought my ticket about an hour and a half before kickoff, and even this is going on your phone, the online system, even trying to zoom in on the seat or the section of the ground where it's a joke. The page crashes, you have to refresh, and it's like I feel sorry. I think Dino, who's a member of our chat, he's been on here before speaking about, I feel sorry for any people who's not used to technology. So like the older folk who just have no clue what they're doing.
Well, there's a guy who sits behind me And like he's like that, just can't use technology, and he's the same. He's relying on family members to try and book his tickets and what have you, and it's just been you cannot get in touch with me. But I emailed Chris Waters and the club shop fortnight ago on Monday just for to find out what was happening with the tickets and the shirts coming back in stock. I'm still waiting for a reply now. All you get is an automatic reply for to say experience high number of emails. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
But bear in mind, Chris Waters has been drafted in to do someone else's job for him.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I was standing behind a woman in the queue with 3 kids, and she was trying to use her phone to get tickets while she was standing in the queue. And she goes, it's just not working, And when they finally get through, the kids have all got to have accounts as well or something. I'm not quite sure, or some sort of or numbers to get on as well. It's just impossible. The system is impossible to use. It's absolutely pathetic, especially with group takings. We could have sold over 40,000 tickets for that QPR match easily. If the ticket office had been open, if everything had been working like normal, they could have easily sold over 40,000 tickets. Jacob?
You know what I think they should do to win the fans over just a slight bit because of this catastrophe right now? I don't know if you remember in the Premier League, there was a game in the Sam Allardyce period. We played West Ham away in the away end. I think they attached the away shirt for that season to every single seat. That would at least give some sympathy or apologies to the fans at least. Honestly, it's a bit short notice now, but the next away game after this, honestly, put a blue shirt for whatever size you are, for obviously your kids, yourself, if it's an adult size, a medium size, small for your Bens, attached to every single seat, and that's just to show the shambolicness that's been going on.
I'll leave the last word to Jack Shields on this, right? Good idea, that, Jacob. Good idea. I think they need to show something for that sort of fans to sort of repay them for the mess and the shambles they've been causing. Do you actually think KLD has a clue what's going on, or do you think he just doesn't care?
I don't think he knows enough. I'm not saying he's clueless, but I think he's not wise as to what's going on. I don't think he understands how Sunderland AFC operates regularly on a day-to-day basis. Do you know what I mean? I think he knows what the business is. He probably knows the business side of things, and financially, obviously, he'll know where the money's going and how the money's coming in, etc., etc. But I think in terms of how Sunderland AFC operates on a day-to-day basis and how the fans' morale is, and how I don't think he's really. I don't think it's that he doesn't care. I think it's just he's away from it. You know what I mean? He's some distance away. He doesn't quite grasp, how fan engagement can impact upon a football club. And let's not make any mistake about it. Sunderland has a big, passionate, loyal fan base. So when the going's going great with the fans and we're all working in the same direction, everything's going great. But when fans are unhappy, and not unhappy at the club, we're very happy at the club, but there's the fan engagement side of things, it does impact. Fans are, not as happy as they should be, moaning on social media, maybe not as willing to go to games as they maybe should be. So it does have an effect on it. And I think maybe he needs somebody underneath him to employ somebody else who he trusts and get the bottom of this sort of thing, or maybe who he is employed maybe needs to be feeding more back to him, and he needs to start asking questions and saying, look, this has happened, you're in the role, what are you doing to try and justify things and explain why the fans are unhappy.
Good comments, Jack. Before we go on to the Saturday's match, I want to say thank you everybody on the live stream tonight. 104 people on the live stream. Give us a thumbs up. Let's try and get 100 now. The Red and White Army podcast on the chat. Then we have Ian Curry. And we've got Kyle, Marvin, AWG. And also on the chat, we do have, let's have a look down. Stephen Hensel says Emma Hansen. He got about 200 emails in one day, and he's totally fed up. Who got 200 emails? Was that Chris
Waters? I think it
was Chris Waters. 200 emails. Why is there only one person doing that job? Is for me, the club of this size, one person doing the job. They've got to start dishing out jobs and really recruiting staff, not just in the ticket office, not just in the shop, not just on the email side of things, but also recruiting players, because for the weekend's game, we have a lot of players out. We have at this moment in time, we got Winchester out, Ballard's out, Dan Neil out for 3 games now. Corey Evans is 50-50. It's going to be a late decision, I think, with Corey Evans for Saturday. But we'll go to Jacob first. Who do you think is going to come in and start in the midfield? And what was your thoughts on Elliot Embleton? Do you think that he can make that position his own for this moment in time?
He struggled a bit I would say, Terry. I mean, it all depends, obviously, with Elliott, the type of opposition we're facing. I think it suited him more the first 2 games of the season. I think the way how Bristol and Coventry play, I think he had a lot more time on the ball. He could use his his strengths, to cause damage onto their backline. But I would say when it's going against you at times, it's no disrespect to me, he can go missing a little bit in games, but that's just he needs to be on the ball to like show his ability. And I think when he's trying to win the ball back, his commitment is superb, but at the same time, I think you do need. That's why I do think we may need an extra man in there to help him out a little bit. Someone like Matete, to win second balls. But then again, it all depends. I mean, I still don't know why Evans was missing last night. To be fair, could it be an injury?
Well, apparently the thing he says he's heard a rumour that's a hamstring problem.
Slight strain.
So if we play the same system against Stoke, who's your midfield 2, Jacob?
Play the same system. I still have an inkling feeling, Evans still might not be fit. If it's a hamstring with the age he's at, it is a real killer. I think Evans is like 30, 31 now. So, you know what? Give Matete a chance. He'll be full of confidence after that performance on Wednesday. Put him in the middle alongside Pritchard, or maybe sit him a little bit deeper, to win a lot of aerial challenges and, get stuck in as well. That's the position that he was brought into play. So use him in that.
Okay, Matete, Pritchard. Who's the third one?
Matete and Pritchard.
Is it going to be Luke 09 or is it going to be Luke 09 or Elliot Embleton?
Well, it depends, because 09 will be. Let's be. We're most effective when we're in a back 3, aren't we? So 09, I think, will be in a back 3. To be honest, I think Bailey Wright might be drafted in there to help him out a little bit, and potentially, I think it could be a 3-4-3. The midfield 2, based on, I think, because I personally think Evans will be out. Pritchard and Matete will be in the mid, and the back 3, I think, will be 09, Wright, and Bart.
And score prediction.
Score prediction at Stoke. I'm going to say 2-1 to us, but I think it'll be close.
Right, Jack. Do we keep the same system on Saturday, or do we change it a bit with a lack of sort of players?
I think you try and keep the same system. I think we look at goal threat going forward, Terry, in this system. I think we get the full-backs pushing up high up, which pins their defenders back. If Stewart and Sims are playing up front together, they can link in, and hopefully we can get on the ball a little bit more in the middle. I felt last night we didn't quite get, even before the red card, we had possession, but I don't think it was the quality possession that we usually get. And obviously, when we get the red card after 30 minutes, that's it. You're just going to try and hang on and not. You're never going to see as much of the ball. So if we can get on the ball as much as we can, I think in terms of changes, I agree with what Jacob said. I like Matete. I think I'd be willing to give him a start on Saturday in place of Dan Neil. And then if Evans is fit, I'll play Evans. If not, it's probably going to have to be Luke 09. I think Embleton didn't do enough for me. If that was his audition last night, he failed to impress me. I think I would have him on the bench. So definitely Matete. Evans, if he's fit in the middle with Dan Neil, that will be where Evans with in place of Dan Neil. So Evans and Matete if he's fit. If Evans isn't fit, then it'll be Matete and Luke 09. That's the way I'd go. I'd keep the rest of the team pretty much the same.
Score prediction?
I've got a good feeling. I'm not usually positive. I'm usually going looking on the negative side, but I think we might just get a win. I think Stoke aren't that good. I think they're going to be in the bottom 6 spot this season. So I'm going to be positive. I don't think we're ready to keep a clean sheet, but I'll go 2-1 to Sunderland.
Are you not frightened of Dwight Gale on Saturday?
Well, yes. I forgot he went there. I was talking to my mate yesterday. He says Dwight Gale's bound to score on Saturday. And I thought, oh, for God's sake, I forgot he went there. But he's a really good championship striker, and he's an ex-mag, so we'll probably boo him, and then as we're booing him, he'll stick one in the top corner. No, now look, guy.
Wayne, what's your changes for Saturday, if any?
I think Embleton struggled for me. He didn't do anything for me last night. So I think Wright will come into the back 3. I think 09 and Matete will be in midfield with Pritchard. But for me, Embleton, I have him on the bench. I think he's more of an impact player. He seems to do better when he comes off the bench. I think I would have probably even brought Roberts on before Embleton.
Does anybody know why Roberts wasn't even on the bench last night?
Was it injury maybe, or has he fell out with fever?
Surely, yeah.
Are you getting your whiteboard up, or Terry? Is that
I am in a minute. I'm getting mine up in a minute. So, Wayne, what's your score prediction, mate?
Well, I think they have struggled this season. They got a draw last night. They've struggled at the start of the season, so I think we'll beat them. I'm going to go for a hard-fought 2-1 win.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not a massive Matete fan at this moment in time. I still think he's got a lot to learn. So I'm going to go for. I probably won't. Nobody probably like it, but I think Luke going 9 in the centre, because I think Evans, if he doesn't start, if Evans starts, then definitely I'll put. I think I can say that, can you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think Evans, if he comes in, he starts. I'd have Evans and Luke going 9 in the middle. If not, then obviously I'll keep Embleton there for one more go and see what happens, because I think Matete off the bench. I think Luke going 9 and Matete together in the centre of the park. I think one of them will probably get sent off, to be fair. So, right, what do you thought about Jacob?
But bear in mind, obviously Stoke. I know they've got Dwight Gale up top. They've got off to a pretty mediocre start. I would have thought they would have gotten off to better with someone like him up front. But they did sign today Liam Delap, a talented forward on loan from Man City, who I think we were potentially linked with earlier on in the window. So whether he gets some minutes on Saturday, who knows? But listen, with the strike force that we've got, we can surely hurt their back line. Listen, if you concede a brace to someone like Duncan Watmore, no disrespect, I mean, I didn't rate him at all for us, then surely Sims and Stewart fancy their chances on Saturday.
What was your score prediction again, Wayne?
I'm going to go for a hard-fought 2-1 win.
2-1. Do you not think that we really are lacking in strength and depth, aren't we? Let's face it. I mean, if we don't, are we going to get any more players in, Jack? Are we going to get any more players in before? How many more players do we need to bring in with the injuries we've got?
I think we need between 4 and 6, 4, 5, 6, 4 minimum, 6, probably 6, 7 maximum. I don't think we'll get that many, but we're lacking all over not just in terms of our starting 11, but squad depth, as you touched on. So,
with your head, Jack, how many are we going to get in?
How many do I think? I think we'll probably end up with about 3.
3. And most of them will be loans?
Probably.
Jacob?
2 loans and I would say 2 buys. I think the saving grace, you have to remember that you would say Christian Speakman would have the final say on the majority of the signings, more because of the role he's in, more than obviously Alex Neil would have a say as well, but he would get the final say because of obviously the role he's in. But at the same time, you have to remember the summer transfer window last year. I think we were pretty short in terms of strength and depth by this stage, and the saving grace we have is the players that Speakman really wants are not necessarily available at this moment in time, but could be later on in the window. And obviously, if we go by that, the players that came in later on in the window turned out to be significant good players for us further down the line in League One. So hopefully they can do the same with the players he wants for the Championship as well.
Ian Wilkinson says 5. Ian Curry says 6. Ian Wilkinson is probably going to get 2 in. Thean says we need 6 or 7, but deep down, I'll be shocked if we get more than 4. Now, I think, to be honest, with a club of this size, and how we've come up from League One and how we've started the season, it is pretty pathetic from the hierarchy to have leave Alex Neil hanging at this moment in time. Alex Neil's basically said he's been banging on the door to try and get players in, but he's kicked the door in. No one's listening to him. For me, it's absolutely pathetic by the club to have the club the way it is this moment in time, with only 2 strikers, and now with the injuries. It's typical Sun to get injuries, and now we enter that sort of reserve squad that only good enough for League One last season, but barely. Some of them wouldn't even make the team in League One last season. So, Wayne, what are we going to say? How many think we're going to get in, Wayne?
I think we'll be lucky if we get 2 to 3. I can't believe that we haven't explored the free transfer market a bit more. And to me, they seem to be more concerned about the under-23 team at the moment. So it's baffling, really is baffling. But does anybody think that Alex Neil possibly might walk away? I believe I read something that did that's the reason why he kind of left Preston, because he wasn't getting backed by the board. He was frustrated, and looking at his press conference that he gave the day, he's like about bang on the door. I think he might be at that same point now, so that's my worry. But
I think if we get no more players in, Wayne, I think he might walk away. Jacob?
Listen, I think obviously you can understand why it's brought up, but it's early to tell. Listen, I think how many more? Is it 2 weeks we've got left of the window?
31st.
Yes, a lot can still happen in that time. As Sunderland fans say, keep the faith. Still a lot of twists and turns to go yet.
Right, I'm going to wrap the show up now. I'm saying 2-3 to Sunderland, 3-2 to Sunderland. I'd have Wright in defence, Loco 9 Embleton in the midfield. So everybody, thank you for joining the live stream tonight. Again, please hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed the live stream. Sorry I haven't been able to read the comments out because I've only got one eye. I can't really see very well. But there we go. So, Jacob, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
See you later, guys. Keep the faith.
Wayne?
Yep, thanks for watching. Anybody going to Stoke, have a safe trip. Come back with the 3 points. Catch us later.
I'll say good night. God bless and may God go with you. In the famous words from Jack. He'll be going down to Stoke, eh, Jack?
Yeah, I'm going down to Stoke. Hopefully we'll have a good trip down there. And as Jacob says, come back, as Wayne says, sorry, come back with 3 points. And I'll see you all later, lads and lasses.
See you for a pint.
Thank you for watching the live stream. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much. See you later.